Hello, welcome to the Tabs and Icons video series. In this video, we're going to look at how to delete blank rows in Microsoft Excel. My name is Karo Ezuzu. Now, sometimes you have blank rows in the data you've downloaded from another file or another environment into Microsoft Excel, and they fall into your Excel spreadsheet in this format. Let's look at the data we have here. Now, we have salesperson, location, month of January down to March. And the whole of this row is empty. The whole of this row is empty. I have about 3 empty rows here. And if you scroll down the report, you will see a lot of empty rows. Now, users begin to battle with taking out these empty rows before working on their report. Now, I'm going to show you 2 approaches you can use to remove these empty rows. The first approach is simply to highlight them. But before that, I want to look at this report and point out some salient features. If you look at the cells that are empty, they are evenly empty all through. Now, you can see there is no data here, and if you look through to the end, there is no data. But let's look at the second report and try to appreciate what I'm talking about. If you look at this report, we also have empty rows. But look at row 6, you have an empty cell here, while this other side have data. If you look at row 10, you have an empty cell here, while these other ones have data. Now, to delete the rows in this one is going to be a different approach from the first one. So I'm going to explain what you have to do here and the kind of caution we have to take when working on the other side. So let's start with this. First, highlight the whole of the data, the whole report. If there are 1,000, just highlight all. So I'm highlighting this to the end. This is the last item. Now I click on Home tab and I move straight to the editing group, and I'll say Find and Select. Click on Find and Select and you see the icon there, Go to Special. When you click on Go to Special, you have this Go to Special menu. Now check here, you will see blanks. Select on blanks. What you've done is that you have selected all blank rows. Click on OK. Now you notice that you have selected all the blank rows from the beginning down to the end of the report. So all the rows have been selected. So you find that every row that is blank has been highlighted. So what we need to do now is simply to delete those rows. Come to the cells group, click on delete, and you see delete cells row. Click on this and your work is done. Now, so I have taken out all the blank rows, and I can now start the kind of report I want to generate. But let's look at the second data arrangement. Now, if I use this same approach, because what I've just done in the previous one is the most popular approach, and if you don't apply it well, in fact, organizations have actually lost vital data because somebody applied that straight-jacketed approach into this format report. Look at this one. Now, I'm highlighting the whole of this like I did in the previous one. So when you're trying to delete rows, you first ask yourself, how does my data look like? Do I have empty cells in between, or they are all evenly empty? Now, I'm going straight to the same route, going through the same route, Home. I come here and I say Go to Special, I select blank. Now, what happens when I take OK? Now, you notice that I have, look at row 6, Alex Adebayo, there is an empty cell, and that empty cell has also been selected. Look at Busola Tony, row 10, there's an empty cell under the month of March. It has been selected. Look at row 14, Israel, there is an empty cell and it has been selected. So what that means is, if I use this approach and I take delete, I'm going to delete all these rows that have been selected. Let's look at a particular one. Now I have Alex Adebayo. If I take this and I say delete sheet rows, look at what happened. Alex Adebayo along with the other ones have gone. So if you're not careful and you use this approach, you will have lost a lot of data without knowing. So what do I do if my data comes in this form? Let me undo and get back my file to what it is. So if your data comes this way, the best approach is to use a formula approach we call, let me say, count. I'm going to count the number of blank spaces, which means I'm going to delete any cell or any row that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blank spaces. So if I get here to this Alex Adebayo, I have only 1 blank space. That means I'm not going to delete that. So I'm going to use a formula called the count blank, and I'm asking how many blank spaces do I have? Say 5. Now let me copy to this place first and stop. Now I have one blank space here, which means I won't delete this. I'm deleting only spaces that are 5. So I'm going to highlight the whole of this down to the end. It goes down until I get to the last one. Okay, I still have still okay, fine. It stops here, and I copy this. Now every one that is 5 must go. Those are the empty rows. So if I have something here, let me delete this. I have 2 blank spaces here. This one will still not go. I will still need to keep this row. So I haven't done this. The next thing I do is to filter this, Ctrl T, and I select my data house header and I filter this one. Now the moment I take filter, I'll come to the count and take out 5. If I take out 5, I click OK. Now you notice that every one that is not 5 has gone. I honestly don't need this column anymore. But if you work with this, you will still be making an error because filtering does not delete those rows. So if you check now, I have row number 19 here, and I'm having the next as row number 23. So what filtering does is that it hides those rows that you don't need. So if I'm working with this and I unhide this, those empty rows will come up. So what you do is to copy this particular one, go to another sheet and paste those values there. So when you paste those values there, you will notice that you have taken out all the hidden one, and what is left is actually the data that you need. So I'm going to highlight this one, take out this one. I don't need this anymore, and this is my report. So you now notice that this one that have 2 blank spaces is retained, this one that have a blank space is retained, and this is the best approach to take out rows. So if you're working with your data and you're not sure whether they are evenly spread, the rows are even, the empty cells are evenly spread, please apply this formula approach so that you don't lose any data. Thank you very much for listening. In other videos, we'll see much more of what Excel can do. Bye-bye.